Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Nate's Pink Bookshelf. My name is Nate Denise. For those of you who are new to the channel or who just happened to stumble across this video, in the back in the same outfit, I recorded these videos on the same day. But yeah, so this is going to be my November reading wrap up. And if you guys see me looking down, I'm looking in my reading journal because I'm bad at kind of remembering unless I like loved the book. So I read a total of I'm trying to see 29 books this month. Well, for the month of November, so almost 30 books, almost 30. But I read 29. And actually, no, I take that back, not 29, because I did not read 2 of the books. So I read a total of 27 books for the month of November, which isn't bad because the other 2 books I just didn't pick up. Like, I didn't feel like picking up. And those books basically are Legacy of Ash and The Way of Kings. I wanted to finish them in November, but just no, so I pushed those to December. I already finished Legacy of Ash, great, so I'll be finishing up The Way of Kings this month. But we're gonna dive in. So the first book I picked up was a middle grade book, and it's a middle grade Christian fantasy, and it's called The Prince of Wisdom by R.C. Jones. This book was phenomenal. I gave it a 4.5 star rating. It's really a 5, but I feel like I wanted more from the story. It was so amazing. It follows this young prince named Juna, and his father basically wants to make him king once he is gone. He basically makes this declaration, and people are very wary because Juna is not, he's one of those kids that doesn't make kind of like the wisest decisions, and he feels like he's not ready, so he tells his father he no longer wants it. And his father tells him to basically go on a journey to understanding wisdom, and it's beautifully done. And there's a dragon in this, and I loved it. It was so cute. It's a short read, literally like 85 pages or so, but it was everything. I wish this was a full-length novel because I truly enjoyed it and the lessons that it taught. So we have this, which I gave 5 stars. Following that, I read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and this one I read, what did I read this for? I don't remember what I read this for, honestly. Can't remember if this was a book club pick or not. I think I just wanted to read it. I can't remember, but I did enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. This was really good. It is considered adult horror, thriller, I don't really know. But it was everything and more. I loved it. The twist at the end confused the hell out of me. The plot twist in general concerning Petra, I think that's her name, just wow. The secrets, the finding things out was just intense, and I enjoyed it. It kept me on the edge of my seat, and I'm really glad that I read this, and this has spurred me on to wanting to read more from Riley Sager. I already own Lock Every Door, so I will be reading that for the month of December, and then I'm going to get my hands on his other 2 books as well to read, because I really enjoyed his writing and how engrossed and enthralled I was. I didn't fully tab it up, but there are some little tabs you can see here and there. I enjoyed it, so I definitely could see me rereading this again next year around October. So we have this. Following that, I read a Christian sci-fi dystopian novel called Fortune's Fall by Catherine Barger. Barger. I think I'm saying it right. The picture is here. I gave this 4.5 star rating. This was phenomenal. I want to get a physical copy of this because I was so enthralled and just engrossed in it. I loved the sci-fi aspects, the world that was created, the way that they made this sort of utopia that really was a dystopian world, and it was everything. I love the main characters, I love the romances, and just everything about this was amazing. The ending kind of killed me, so I definitely want to get my hands on a physical copy of this book, as well as can't wait for the sequel to come out. So we have that. My review for this is linked down below if you guys want more information. So following that, I read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and this book I gave 4 stars to. I wanted to love this so bad. I really did. I really wanted to love it. I predicted this was going to be a 5-star read for me, but it was not. It was a 4 star, and at first it was really going to be a 3 star because the first 5 to 10 chapters bored me, and I didn't care about Alex. It was a lot. She was just really gloomy to me, and I was really interested in Darlington and figuring things out. The mystery plot with Darlington, I was here for it. I was here for everything with that. And then as things began to unravel and get revealed, I was sold on the story. That ending, I am ready for the sequel to come out. I need a copy of the sequel because that ending, I'm ready. But yeah, this was not a book for everybody. I will say that this is not a book for everybody. This is very much an adult novel, adult urban fantasy, and this is heavy on drug abuse. I'm looking down because I'm trying to figure out how to like word it without spoiling things. This is heavy on the drug abuse. There is talk of rape. There is talk of just body mutilation, and just it's dark, it's gory, but I loved it, and I also loved the things concerning Alex and her ability. I was here for it, so I adored this book so much. Okay, following that, I read a manga, and it is Blue Period, Volume 1 by this author. I don't want to butcher it at all. It is a contemporary manga, and I read this through NetGalley, and I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I love the talk of art and the use of color. This book was really saturated in the color blue, and I loved it, and I loved the main character. So I did enjoy this enough to give it a 4 stars. So following that, the next book I read was The Remnant by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. This is the 10th book in the Left Behind series, and I gave it a 3.5 star rating. I wasn't 100% sold on this. This is the only book I think I gave a 3.5 star rating to. Yeah. This is a Christian sci-fi dystopian fantasy kind of book, and I'm loving the series as a whole. The series for me is a 4 star read. I have not given any of the books a 5 star. I think I've given 2 4.5, but this is the lowest rating I've given the book, which is a 3.5. And I didn't care, honestly. As I was listening to the audiobook, I was zoning out and I just wasn't caring enough. But it does have me excited now for the next book. So I don't feel like this series needed to be like 13 books long. But I'm gonna continue on. I'm enjoying it. It's just this wasn't it for me at all. But I still love Chloe and Buck and Bruce, and not Bruce, is it Buck or Bruce? Buck, because Bruce died. I still love Buck. I still love Rayford and just Tion and all the people. It's just amazing. It's just this book just didn't do it for me. So we have that. Following that, I read a few more ebooks. So I read A Gilded Lady, which is the second book in the Hope and Glory trilogy by Elizabeth Camden. It's Christian historical fiction. I gave this book 3 stars, and I knew that I was going to like this because this follows the sister from the first book. The first book is called The Spice King, which I adored. I think I gave it 4.5 or 5 star rating. I loved that book. It was amazing. It was everything and more. But in that book, I hated the sister Caroline so much. I hated her so much. So there's Gray, Caroline, and Luke. The first book was about Gray, who was amazing, and I loved his love interest. Caroline pissed me off. So the sequel was pretty much all about Caroline, and I did not care. You did get to see Gray, and you got to see Luke, which is why I got a 3 star. If they were not included, honestly, this would have been a 2 star read for me. I don't like Caroline. She's just an annoying character for me. She's an annoying woman. She's very whiny and very nosy and just hateful for no reason. So I did not care for her story. But I'm excited for book 3 because book 3 follows Luke, which is the brother I've always had more questions about. Like, I love me some Gray, but Luke is the brother that, like, I want to know more about him. He intrigues me. And his parts really interest me. I didn't care for the love interest in the book at all either. So yeah, 2 star read. 3 star read. Following that, I read Dear Haiti, Love Elaine by Micaiah and Maritza. I'm not gonna butcher their names, but here it is. I gave it 3 stars. It's a YA contemporary. It was cool. I enjoyed learning about Haiti and history and stuff like that. But I just felt like it was all over the place for me. I didn't know if it was a romance or if it was like family issues or if it was a bit of both. I did enjoy seeing the interactions a little bit with her family, that Elaine had with her family and the things with her mother. But it was too much going on for me personally, and I felt like I was losing track of what was what and who was who and things like that. So I gave it 3 stars. Following that, I read Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0, so the prequel basically, and it's a manga fantasy, and I loved it. 5 star read. I'm actually watching Jujutsu Kaisen now, and I'm also reading the manga as I watch, and it is freaking epic. I loved that prequel because I got to see the upperclassmen, what they were like as freshmen. It was so good. As well as Gojo. We love Gojo Sensei. Like, we love him. So 5 star read for me. Then I also read Adulthood is a Myth by Sarah Anderson, and this is a graphic novel humor contemporary, and I gave it 5 stars. This was really good. It reminds me of how Allie Brosh wrote her book, Hyperbole and a Half, and this is the first book in Sarah Scribbles #1, so I'm gonna pick up the other one as well. And I want a physical copy because I kept cracking up every turn of the page, and I felt like it was relatable to me. So we have that. So then I read 2 more graphic novels or mangas in a sense. So the next manga I read was Wuthering with You Volume 1 by Makoto Shinkai, I think. This is contemporary fantasy, and this was cute. I didn't know what to think, honestly, so I gave it 3 stars. It was a fun read, but I was neither here nor there about it, but it wasn't bad, so that's why I got a 3 star. And then I read Moriarty the Patriot Volume 1 by Ryosuke. I don't know how to say it, but it's a historical fiction manga with some mystery, and basically it's all about Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes. And honestly, I hate Moriarty. I've watched every Sherlock Holmes movie and TV show, but this manga, this anime, has sold me on Moriarty as a character. And this is dark, it is gritty, it is gruesome, and I loved every inch of reading it. And I actually read it after I watched the anime, which was funny because I got to see that the manga is a lot more darker and gruesome than the anime is. So we have that. So I gave that 5 stars, like solid 5 stars, and I definitely want to get physical copies of that because it was amazing. Then I read 3 books from the same author. Her name is Barbara and Britton. I did reading vlogs for all 3 of these. They're going to be on my Christian channel though, and I enjoyed all of them. So the first one I got was Providence, which is Hannah's journey, and this one follows the young girl from 2 Kings chapter 5 in the Bible who was brought to Naaman as a servant, and she basically brought faith and hope to him and his household. This book I gave 5 stars to. I love this. This was everything and more. It's a short, quick read. I did annotate it. I just haven't put my sticky notes in, so it is like marked up and written in, but I have to put my sticky notes, my sticky tabs in. But this was everything. I adored it so much. I love the romance. I loved the story and the characters and everything, the world, everything and more. So we have this. Then I read Jerusalem Rising, which is Ada's journey, and this one follows the prophet Nehemiah as well as Ada and her father. What was his name? Shalom, who was a governor at the time, and it follows Nehemiah's chapter 1 through 8 in the Bible. And I gave this a 4.5-star rating. I really enjoyed this a lot, but I just felt like there was a little bit more that I could have got out of it to give it a 5-star rating. So we have that. Then I read Lioness Mala's Journey by her, and this one is actually one of the newest books, not newest books, but it's part of her other series. So the first 2 books that I mentioned, the Providence as well as Jerusalem Rising, are from the Tribes of Israel series, and then this one, Lioness, follows her Daughters of Zelophehad series. Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure out how to say that correctly. But I gave this book 4.75-star rating. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think the only reason why I couldn't give the last 2 books from her a 5 stars because I really loved the first book, Providence, so much that I was comparing it, but they were both great. I loved all of them. So yeah, this one got a 4.75-star rating. So if I had to put them in order, I would say it would be Providence first, then Lioness for me, and then Jerusalem Rising. But they were all great. I just need to put my tabs in them because I haven't put tabs in any of these. And I'm sorry if you guys see me looking here and then here. I have a bad habit of looking here, but I'm working on looking here. So yeah. So we have that, and then I read some more ebooks and graphic novels, of course. So then I read Milk and Honey, which is a poetry collection. 5-star read. Loved it so much. It made me cry. It made me swoon. I loved it. I highlighted the mess out of this on my ebook, so I definitely need a physical copy of that because it was phenomenal. Then I read Volume 2, Moriarty the Patriot. We loved it. 5-star read. I just, Volume 2 is where you really get to meet Sherlock, and Sherlock comes into the picture, and we love it. As far as the anime goes, the anime is freaking amazing. I'm loving it. You have Sherlock and Moriarty like going back and forth at it right now, so I'm loving it to pieces. But yeah, so back to physical books that I read. I then read Shadow's Edge by Brent Weeks, the second book in the Night Angel trilogy. I mean, what is there to say? I gave it 4 stars. I wanted a little more. I wasn't completely invested in it because I found myself zoning out, and there was a lot of times where I was not annotating. Every now and then I was underlining some things, but a lot of the chapters had nothing for me. But we love Kyler, so I mean, why not? It is what it is. And yeah, so I'm excited to finally finish this trilogy. I'm trying to hold off until I get a physical copy of book 3 because I don't own a physical copy of book 3. But this was really good. It's great adult fantasy. And after I finish this trilogy, I will then dive into his other series, which is, what is the name of that series? I don't know. I can't think right now. And I have the series right here. Let me tell you guys so I don't forget. The series is the Black Prism, this series, Lightbringer, that's what the series is called. So I can't wait to dive into Lightbringer once I finish off that trilogy. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It was great. It was 4-star read, and I'm glad to have it. And yeah, I'm waiting to get my hands on the final book so that I can finish it. That's all I can say. Then we go into The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. I read this for the Busy Bee Book Club pick for the month of November, and I gave this 4 stars, but honestly, I have no feelings. And it's so weird because I used Cawpile to figure out what to rate this because I wasn't sold on it. The characters were interesting. I just did not care for Mamamoru. I think that's how you say his name. And when I did start to like him, something happened with him, so it kind of like pissed me off. And then his mother frustrated me. His mother she's a savage, okay? Let's just say that. What is her name? See, that's bad. I don't even remember her name. Masaki. So Masaki and Mamamoru are mother and son. They're a part of the Matsuda the Matsuda family, and their family is known for being like the Sword of Kaigen. They're like this little island in the middle of the little, oh, I don't even know, that honestly just is good action wise, but Masaki pissed me off with how she allowed her husband to treat her. I didn't care for it. My Mamoru was like a spoiled little brat, and when I did start to like him, things went left. And the action in this, I will say, was top tier, great. Masaki is a savage. That's all I can say. She's a savage. I can't explain, but she's a savage. But there was just certain things I felt like she sort of settled with, and I didn't care for that. I love me some Robin. I think that's his name, is Robin. We love Robin so much. Robin is amazing, but her husband pissed me off. The entire Matsuda family pissed me off. I love her kids; they're amazing. But I don't know. It's a 4-star read. I would definitely say read it, but as much as people rave about this, I just didn't care, if that makes sense, which is weird as ever because I'm giving it 4 stars. You have to read my review to understand my thoughts, okay? Because the way that I'm talking about it is not the best. I can't articulate what it is. It's just the characters pissed me off, pretty much. I like the magic system. I love the world building. I love the action. The characters themselves pissed me off. So if I could rate this just on world building and action and magic, A+. Characters annoyed me. And this is not, maybe it's because it's more like, I don't want to say coming of age, but it felt pretty much contemporary-ish to me, if that makes sense. So I wasn't sold, but I did give it 4 stars. I'm going to stop rambling about this book because I can't even express my feelings. So I'm going to say, if you want to understand my thoughts, read my review down below on Goodreads and you'll be able to like get it. But this wasn't my favorite, like, at all, for the month, like, at all. So yeah. Following that, I read the 2 novellas from Brent Weeks in the Night Angel trilogy. I read Perfect Shadow, and I think the other one is called I Night Angel. I gave them both 4 stars. The Perfect Shadow is the prequel all about Durzo, which we loved. We loved learning about Durzo. And then I Night Angel is actually the final book, or the final novella. So it's like novella 3.5, yeah. And I haven't read book 3, so it kind of slightly spoiled some things for book 3, but I don't care. So yeah, I read this, and like I said, it's a 4-star read. I enjoyed it. So we had that. Then I read, finally, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The first book in the Poppy War trilogy, and I had the sequel right there if you guys can see. I gave this 4.5-star rating. I really wanted to love this and give it a 5, but I found myself zoning out when reading it, and even to the point where I had to put the book down and just solely listen to the audiobook. It wasn't completely like keeping my attention. And I love me some Ren. Yo, Ren is just, we love Ren. Ren is a savage, pretty much. And her teacher, what is his name? I can never remember this man's name for the life of me. The one that taught her all about shamanism and things like that. I'm trying to remember his Zhang. I don't know how to say it, but he's a creepy, weird guy. I liked him though. He was amazing. Alton, I liked him, but he pissed me off. Katai, we love. The other little boy from her class that kind of like kept picking on her. Neja pissed me off, and I can't remember the girl's name. Why can I never remember that girl's name? And I felt bad for her at the end because of what she had gone through. It starts with a V. Whatever the girl's name is, I'm going to pop it on the screen because I can't remember. I know that it starts with a V. I can't remember how to say it. But, yeah, her and Ren's entire class was interesting to me. I liked all of them and seeing how they grew up. The whole shamanism, shamans, and the things that went about, I was trying to understand. I hope Zhang comes back though in the sequel because of what happened at the end of this. I hope he comes back, and I'm interested to see what happens with the different gods and stuff like that. Like, I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued for the sequel, so I'm glad I have it. I do have an e-arc of book 3, The Branding God. I want to wait till the paperback copy comes out because they only have the hardcovers out right now, and I don't feel like buying just a hardcover of that one book just because it's completely white and it would throw off the other colors for me. So yeah, I can't wait for the paperback copy to come out. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it is what it is. I enjoyed it. The discussion with opium and war orphans and things like that was really interesting. I hated the way people picked on Ren. I loved how she worked so hard to get herself from the bottom to the top, but I also hated how she pushed herself way too much. The her learning to study scene right before she took like the big test kind of like hurt me watching her do certain things to force herself to stay awake. Was like, why? But I will say Ren is a determined young girl, and I'm excited to see what happens. I know it's gonna rip my heart out, because I mean the ending of this ripped my heart out, but I'm excited to continue on. So I did thoroughly enjoy this. I gave it a 4.5-star rating. Then we gonna talk about my favorite book of the month. This might be my favorite book of the year. Honestly, I need to look and see what my other 5-star reads were for the year, but this was my favorite book of the month. I was invested in this. I will say the first 5 chapters I just was not caring, and then after chapter 5 I was sold. I was here for it. I was invested, and I cannot wait for the sequel, and that's Legend Born by Tracy Deonn. I have heard new rave about this book, and normally when people rave about it, I either like it or I don't like it, or I'm like in the middle. But this, there are no words, okay? No words to express how much I loved this book. So I loved it so much that I'm tempted to buy a book of the month copy, because it's one of the books for book of the month, but I'm not gonna do that. But I am 100% sold on this book. I did spray, like, do dye sprayed edges in blue, but I loved everything about this book. Just remembering everything just like brings me so much joy. And I mean, the romance was cute, the characters were amazing, the plot twist, the magic system, the world building, the writing, the way Bree was so articulate, and how I don't want to say smart, because obviously she's smart, but there's a word I'm trying to figure out how to say, but she was just mature, how mature she was for her age. And I love that Tracy really dove into depression, I think PTSD as well, and trauma, and even the friendship with her best friend was interesting to me, and the romance and the drama. Just, I'm excited for the sequel. I need it now, because that ending killed me. I don't understand. And this is definitely the type of book where you gotta write charts, and in the back there is a chart. Now don't get me wrong, there's a chart in the back. If I can get to it, where is it? So in the back there is a chart of like the ranks and stuff like that for like the round table. Yeah, the round table bloodlines. It tells you the rank, the bloodline, the sigil, the color, the inheritance, and the weapons. But there's so much that goes on with learning who's a Scion and who's not a Scion, and who's a squire, and who has what ability, and who's sired by who. It's just a lot. So when I reread this, because I'm definitely rereading this before the sequel comes out, I will actually have like a full-blown chart, because what I did was at the end of specifically chapter 10 really explained some things, and I found that I had to, if I could find it, hopefully it's still in here, because if it's not, I'm gonna cry. Oh yeah, so at the end of chapter 10 I had to like write down the pages and the legends, like who was who, so like which legend bought which page, and then you also have to figure out who's a Scion and a squad. It's just too much. It's amazing though. I'm not articulating correctly. So again, all my reviews will be linked down below, because I'm not articulating right, because this is just amazing. I will have a dedicated review for this book, because I loved it so much. It was so good. I did not add my tabs in here. I did annotate though. I annotated it and marked it up and highlighted and things like that. But there are no words. Like, this was everything. This was everything. My favorite book of the month, one of my favorite books of the year, and I have high hopes for the sequel. That ending was just unexpected. It was like a twist that you never saw coming, and with everything that happened, I really didn't see it coming. And I loved the tension between Nick, Bree, and oh my god, what is his name? I can never remember this boy's name. Can never remember this. Seal, whatever. I'm kind of on the fence, because I really like Nick and Bree together, but I'm also loving Bree with Cell, especially because there are some things that happen that it's not really answered for me concerning the two of them and their connection. So no worries, I don't want to spoil this, so I'm gonna stop talking about it and move on. Okay, so then I read The Starless Sea by Aaron Morgenstern, and honestly, this literally gave it 4.5-star rating. I adored this book. The only reason why I couldn't give it a full 5 is because sometimes I felt like the little stories in between the main story was like throwing me off, and the fact that every time a new chapter started, they always said Zachary's full name. Like, I don't care about his full name. They always say Zachary Ezra Rollins. Like, why do you have to tell me his full name at the beginning of every chapter? I don't understand why. But I loved it. It was amazing. I loved it. It was lyrical. It was beautiful. I definitely preferred this over The Night Circus. This was everything and more that I really wanted, and I enjoyed the plot. The plot was there, and I could see why some people don't really care for it, because those in between breaks, you get stories from within. But I really loved it, and I love now knowing what the bee, the key, and the sword symbolize. I love that. I actually do have it written down, exactly what the bee, the sword, and the key means. So that is amazing. I definitely will go back and reread it. Physically, I read up to page 198, but then I just continued listening to the audiobook because the audiobook was amazing. But the book itself is absolutely gorgeous. I highly would recommend it if you don't mind lyrical writing, because it's definitely lyrical. And if you don't mind a book that has breaks in between, if that makes sense, like the plot has a break in between, because you definitely do get chapters of different books every now and then, and it's beautifully done. I loved it. So yeah, 4.5-star rating. Then I have 3 more books, all physical, of course. So we have To Dwell Among Cedars by Connie Lynn Cassette. This is the first book in the Covenant House series, or duology. And this was a recent release. I did read it because I was a part of the blog tour, not blog tour, the launch team for this book. And I did not read my physical copy, so I'm definitely going to have to reread my physical copy. But I did read an e-arc of it, and I gave this book a 4-star rating. I adore Connie Lynn Cassette. I have read all of her books, and I gave all but 2 of her books a 5-star. So this is one of the books, and then the other book was from her first trilogy she wrote. I've only given these 2 4 stars, but I absolutely love her writing, and I cannot wait for the sequel. The cover for the sequel is already out, and I am excited for that because this book has hyped me up for the main character of that book. So I just wasn't invested in the main female character in this at all, and I couldn't really invest myself in the romance because there were some things that we knew ahead of time concerning the romance that was going to happen. So it kind of like spoiled it for me in a sense. So I really still did enjoy it, and I would recommend it. But yeah, it basically talks about the Ark of the Covenant, and when the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant from the Hebrews. It takes place in 1 Samuel. I can't remember what chapter, but it was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we have that. I gave 4-star too. Then I read Queen of the Conquered by Kaysen Callender, and I had to read that because I also read The King of the Rising, which is the second book. And I gave Queen of the Conquered 4 stars. Yeah, 4 stars, and I gave King of the Rising 4 stars as well. They were both pretty good. They were interesting to say the least. Definitely some colorism, racism, colonization going on. I enjoyed the Caribbean vibe to it. I also enjoyed the magic aspect. Love the magic system. It's amazing. So yeah, it was a great duology. I definitely want to get a physical copy of the first book and a finished copy of this. But I definitely would recommend it if you're interested in it. It can be frustrating because there are some things that take place with the main character, Sigourney. I think her name is Sigourney. There's some things that she does that kind of like pisses me off in the first book, where I'm just like, why are you doing things and you know you're pissing people off, but you just don't care. She just didn't make sense to me. Like, she was trying to make the Furin, I think that's what they're called, the Furin, I don't even know what they're called. She tried to make them pay, but in making them pay, she had to treat her people like crap, and her magical ability allowed her to, in a sense, control people, and it was just frustrating to read, but I enjoyed it. So my frustration definitely was with the main character herself, but I think that's the point. It is supposed to be, I don't want to say a morally gray character, but the characters are not meant to be likable, which I love books when you have characters that are not meant to be likable. So I enjoyed both of the books for that. And then lastly, I read Fawn by Winter Pyre, and I love this. I gave 5-star read. It's a cute little romance. I loved it. So it follows Barnaby and Gale. This is Gale, this is Barnaby, and it is a gay romance, if you guys are wanted to know. So 2 guys, and there's slight BDSM kind of talk into this book. I loved it so much. I enjoyed that it wasn't so heavy on the romance or the sexual interaction, but you also got to see the sort of state of mental thinking that they both were in, because Gil deals with depression and some other things, and it was really like touching to see that about him. And then Barnaby is, you know, you guys can see that he's a little thicker, so he doesn't look at himself as being beautiful. So it was a sweet, wholesome read for me, honestly, because I really loved how Gil interacted, even though they got together for a one-night stand, and it was some things you just gotta read the book to figure it out. But I love the way Gil treated Barnaby, like no matter what took place, and even if it was a one-night stand, he was very sweet and authentic with him, and they both got to get the love that they wanted, and it was just so cute. I did not annotate because I had to read this quickly, because this book did not come in until a day before my review needed to be posted. which was a problem. But I loved it so much. It was absolutely amazing. My review for this is down below, and I definitely can see me rereading this next year and annotating it because I had so much fun. And it was so cute. That's all I'm gonna say. It was a cute book. And the title definitely has something to do with the animal a fawn, and there's a reason why. You just gotta read the book and get into it, and it's cute. I definitely would recommend it. I had fun reading this book. So much fun. And on the front it does give you a content warning. So it says this book contains explicit sexual situations and is intended for mature readers only. Situations involving self-harm, suicidal ideas, I don't know what the other word is, implied suicide attempts are also included. So yeah, it was a fun read. So that was my November wrap up, you guys. I enjoyed November. It was a fun reading month, and I'm excited for December, the end of the year. So yeah, if you haven't seen my December TBR, that should be posted. If not, it'll be posted soon. When, don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.